something I expected to see maybe a couple of regional tournaments ago. Again, I feel like we've just been in a field of fast two-prizer Pokemon. This is not that.
Yeah, it has been really Gardevoir's tournament with the popularity of Roaring Moon so far. Out of our 4 7-0s, there's 2 of them are Gardevoir decks. So Rowan has been piloting Gardevoir for a little bit now. Took maybe a break with some Mew VMAX, crushing hammers throughout some tournaments, LAIC, all that, but it's still just a very consistent deck in the hands of a very consistent player. The sky's the limit, and then Sawyer has been on a tear so far and has been doing it with majority Lost Zone decks. This one is definitely a Lost Zone deck, and it's looking like pretty much close to the same list that we featured earlier on today, having that Hijab V, having the Roaring Moon, this time not having the Iron Hands, but still has those 2 Mawile.
And speaking of those 2 Mawile, since you play 2 of them, we can start with it. Looks like Sawyer is going to be going first here. Does Pokestop absolutely nothing. Doesn't quite have anything in hand besides a Sableye. But again, Gardevoir is not known for that turn 1 aggression. It's going to be an attachment and a pass back here now to Rowan. Let's see what he draws. Does have the Nest Ball. Can find themselves at least a Curlia. I just realized, if Rowan doesn't retreat this Radiant Greninja, is it just game over?
Technically, it would be, but there is that 1 copy of Professor Turo's scenario. Be able to just pick up your Pokemon, discard all cards attached to it. Now, Rowan's going to have to do that maybe twice. You have access to Pal Pad. Granted, Sawyer did start off just terrible. There's no... Sawyer is playing a Lost Zone deck. There's no Comfey on the board. There's no semblance of any other Pokemon.
There's a Psychic Pokemon with some flowers. That's pretty close to Comfey.
I don't think there's flowers there. If you look at the art, I think it's more gems.
That's a flower, the thing with the mouth. Yeah, it is.
No,
anyway,
it's part of the Pokemon.
Okay. All right. So again, Rowan does go for, I believe, I don't think they've concealed cards just yet. I don't see an energy in the discard pile.
Yeah, still has not concealed cards, but has the Nest Ball for the Ralts, Level Ball to grab another Ralts here. I believe there's the Mirage Step Curlia in hand already, so with just an energy and evolution, you can go ahead and use that powerful attack to grab all the Curlia that you need. And with the way this matchup is at least looking as on the board, Rowan is in a pretty good position, but it's all if that Professor Turo's is in the deck or not.
That is true. Again, typically when I think about this matchup, it is favored to Gardevoir. I think Gardevoir has a lot of tools to really deal with the Lost Box deck, like the Cresselias, the Jirachi, Manaphy's, for example. But that's why I am fearing this. I am absolutely fearing this Mawile. It's not something you see every day, but if you put down those tools, like I said, the Manaphy, the Jirachi, there is the potential for them to get stuck. As Sawyer, would you go this route now? Are you going to still take knockouts? Are you still trying to go for that Lost Zone big Kyogre play? Are you going to really focus your resources on facilitating this Mawile play?
Well, if he does decide that option, we could be in for a long one. Wancho, just a tempting trap. It's a very unique attack for this format. It makes it so your opponent's defending Pokemon cannot retreat, and then you deal 90 more damage the next turn. But that's never going to happen. You're just using that attack over and over again to prevent Rowan from retreating. And we saw that Rowan had the Psychic Energy, but used it for the concealed cards instead of using it to retreat. So it could be a little worrisome, but having that 1 Professor Turo scenario, as long as Rowan has access to it, really could just disrupt the entire game plan that Sawyer has.
That is true. Again, Professor Turo scenario does put the Pokemon into hand. So that does prevent any catcher plays once again. So yeah, I think maybe the Mawile isn't quite the way, unless of course Rowan starts benching more support Pokemon. But hey, there's also the chance it's a prize, and then you just win from here.
Yeah, and that's really the game you're coming down to. You also have to battle through 4 Iono, so that is just more ways of restocking your deck to not deck out, and that's the whole game plan for this Mawile strategy. traditionally against a deck like Gardevoir. If you start or have access to boss's orders, a Radiant Greninja or a Manaphy, the tempting trap is very tempting.
Very tempting indeed. As we do see Sawyer now going for that Chorus Experiment, does get 5 fresh cards, going to send 2 to the Lost Zone here.
We found the basic Pokemon.
Yeah, there's a couple of basic Pokemon. There's a Battle VIP pass. Unfortunately, again, this is Sawyer's second turn. I'd love maybe see the... Oh, it's going to be the Rod hitting the Lost Zone there. I believe Sawyer at least does play a couple more ways to really get resources back, especially since it's a Kyogre type deck. And it's going to go ahead and Pokestop here, getting 2 cards, losing the mana fee. Could be big again. Gardevoir is known for hitting the bench with the Scream Tail Pokemon, but there it is, just 3 Comphase, and is that just a tempting trap and a pass?
Yep, and looking through the list too, there is no Scream Tail on Rowan's side of things, so doesn't really have access to that. Is really just going to try to get as set up as possible for these turns. And Rowan taking a quick look through the deck. I don't know if I saw that Turos, but oh no, it is down there at the bottom. So we're going to be in for a long one, Wancho.
I'm ready for it, as we do see the level ball for the Refinement Curlia. Again, Refinement Curlia able to discard a card, draw out 2. It looks like Rowan's going the long route here. Typically, you do try to use the Mirage Step to try and get extra Curlias in play while saving a couple of raws to be rare candied or whatnot. But again, because of that tempting trap, Radiant Greninja is stuck in the active. As Rowan benches a couple more raws in play. Every time I see a Pokemon just tapped sideways, I think an ability has been used. For a sec, I thought, what ability has been used for raws? But
yeah, just signaling that it came into play this turn, so
very
it cannot evolve into it.
Very important.
Here we see the first Iono. So let's 1 Iono down. Turo's still in the deck.
And again, you could always Palpad the Turo and the Iono, so we could potentially see up
like I
to
said, we're in for a
5
long one.
Iono. Okay. But we'll have to see. Maybe Sawyer... What else can Sawyer do? Besides a tempting trap, he can still start to load up the Lost Zone by using stuff like Chorus Experiment. Maybe use a couple of switches, and then just switch back into the Mawile, and then potentially start swinging in case this lock breaks, as we do see a couple more refinements here. Again, drawing 2 more cards, get some Boss's Orders, nothing. I don't see the Turo in hand just yet, so...
Well, if you think about it, the way Sawyer has built this Lost Zone list, as with a lot of our other top players that have brought pretty much this list with this double Mawile technology, is that they're just trying to go for the Kyogre Aqua Storm. Trap Storm, right? So even if Sawyer's whole plan is to just tempting trap the entire game, you see there Rowan already fearing that Kyogre and its Aqua Storm to disrupt and take a knockout on 2 Gardevoir. Might as well get that Manaphy in play, but that's another Pokemon that can be trapped active.
Yeah, the important thing is Rowan doesn't bench 3 Pokemon that could potentially get trapped. Again, you do have the Radiant Greninja, you do have the Manaphy, but we do have access to at least 2 Turo if both Turo and Palpad are in the deck. As we do see Chorus Experiment now played again, once again, by Sawyer, bringing the Lost Zone down to at least 4, is going to send the Kyogre. So just like that, an entire line gone. We're not going to be seeing an Aqua Storm because we do see the Manaphy. Let's see what else they decide to send to the Lost Zone. All good cards in hand. I believe I see a Palpad, Mirage Gate, a Boss's Orders, and a Super Rod. So, again, we already sent 1 Rod to the Lost Zone, and it's going to be the Boss's Orders.
Boss's Orders is a pretty good card to just bring up that Manaphy and trap it yet again, but it's really going to depend on what Sawyer's game plan is for this matchup. It is a matchup that you have to think he's played multiple times, testing this list for this tournament.
I just have to say, though, that is Sawyer's only Boss's Orders in deck. That means the only way to really start to get another Gust effect is their other copy of Countercatcher.
Yeah, and he's going to try to prioritize that as much as possible. If Rowan wants to win this game, he's got to have to do it by taking knockouts, so at least you're safe there.
That is true. But again, as soon as Rowan at least gets one Turo and then the second Turo on the Manaphy, there's no more means of Gust after that for Sawyer. So then we are going to be playing some Pokemon.
Hopefully.
Taking a couple of knockouts anyway. This is still playing Pokemon. And again, Control is a deck archetype in itself. And leave it to Lost Box to really find a way to have some type of control in your deck. And yeah, something I didn't quite expect.
Is it really that much control when it's now Rowan who's in control with that Professor Turos? If Sawyer's going to spend each turn just using this tempting trap, Rowan's going to have as much time as he wants to build up this board.
That is true. But again, we'll have to see. We'll have to get to that point. We'll have to see that Turo. As we do see another refinement there, discarding the worker, drawing 2 Radiant Greninja conceal cards, draws 2 more. Again, Rowan's going to be able to see 6 cards a turn without using a supporter. That's just the power of the deck. And when you have all the time in the world, you just have to assume that you will get there.
I don't know about all the time in the world. There's 40 minutes left in this match. 10 minutes has gone by, and the only attack that's been announced has been Tempting Trap.
That is fair. Okay. As we do see one more refinement there. Don't see the Turo just yet. It's going to be an attachment onto the Curlia. And okay, Jeremy, I know we're not yet at that point, but once the Turo happens, can you walk us through something, Rowan's game plan from there? Like, what attacker do you use in that situation?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. That's like 20 turns down the line. Usually just a Gardevoir with some energies that you don't really need to think about. Maybe not damage, so you don't have to get it KO'd by a Cramorant or something like that.
And we do see a flower selecting here by Sawyer. It looks like a tough choice. I believe it was the other tempting track, Mawile, and a Hisuian Heavy Ball. Looks like Sawyer is understanding there is something in his prizes he may want, but he may need this other Mawile instead, really doubling down on this strategy, getting the trap on, as now they do have 5 cards in the Lost Zone. Pokestop getting draw 3, a couple of switches. Great to see in hand. You gotta wonder what else they have in store here. Just gonna be a retreat into another Comfey, because we do have a couple those switches. Is that a Rod plus a Chorus? Another tough choice.
Yeah, especially after putting back 2 Chorus's Experiment with Palpad. Those are cards that you want to see, but with that Super Rod, 1 already in the Lost Zone, that's, again, your way of not decking out, really. Now, there is Pidgeot V, which is, according to Sawyer, the worst card of all time. But he does play it in the deck just so you can never deck out. So if there wasn't access to a Professor Turos, that's the way Sawyer would win.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like the worst card of all time. If it doesn't, it prevents you from...
I mean, it's a regional champion winning card.
But yeah, okay. Looks like Sawyer did choose to keep the Chorus Experiment, deciding to use it, sending the Pokegear and the Water Energy to the Lost Zone. Has a couple more cards in hand. Has quite a big hand, actually. And just going to go for the switch into the Mawile.
Surprising.
And it's just going to be another tempting trap. Can you imagine having this lock up and just forgetting to announce the attack name?
No, because I'm good at this game.
Okay.
I'm not, actually.
As we go on over now to Rowan. Let's see what else they have. Looks like they're eyeing their discard pile. Maybe they have some plays available.
I think I've had nightmares of not announcing an attack, but that's pretty much it. Especially with this kind of simplified game state. Sawyer has one thing he needs to do every turn, and it's Tempting Trap.
That is true, as we do see a rare candy into a Gardevoir and just going for a big Iono here. Rowan, he could possibly be setting up the play here. Now maybe going for the Iono, disrupt that absolutely giant hand, could potentially draw into the Turo here, especially when you have 8 draws, so you do have it potentially for next turn, especially after an Iono. But we'll have to see
here. I haven't seen it yet.
Refinement, there it is. So next turn is the action, Jeremy. Can you feel it?
Maybe.
Great.
Feel something.
All right, as we do see, I think Rowan's opting not to use the last refinement. maybe just has everything they want in the hand. That could signify to Sawyer. Looks like they have the out here. Let's see what's in Sawyer's hand. Has to be good after the Iona. I do see a chorus experiment.
There's like 2, actually.
Well, that's a pretty good hand.
Draws. Chorus experiment looks fine.
Yeah. Losing the Battle VIP pass, easy choice there. Plus the Nest Ball, not too bad. Does see the Pidgeot V in hand. Is there anything else to play? Maybe now, Sawyer thinking, if he didn't use the last refinement, that could be a signal that there might be a way to, Rowan might have a way to attack this next turn. Maybe I get the jump on him. Maybe I attack this turn and not, no, okay, it's Tempting Trap.
He did attack that turn, and it was Tempting Trap, yeah.
Okay. Again, Sawyer's already at 10 cards of the loss zone.
Yep.
So Sableye was available there, potentially. And now Rowan, it's just a matter of what attacker are we using.
And with this kind of strategy, you just have to go for it. Gardevoir lists have been in and out on this one copy of Professor Turo's. And with Sawyer seeing it now, kind of get that grin, he's like, all right, yeah, I kind of figured you had it, but I had to go for it. And this is going to allow Rowan to be able to take a knockout on this Mawile potentially. And from there, there's going to be another Mawile, maybe the counter catcher. But hopefully that Iono disrupted the hand a little bit.
Looks like Rowan's opting to potentially attack with the Gardevoir EX. Did promote one of the Curlias here. If they choose to attack with the Gardevoir EX, do you think that is the right route to take?
I mean, you're taking a knockout. That's pretty much all you can really ask for at this time. It's been 15 minutes, and so far, Tempting Trap's been the only attack. And
but you do see the Dark Energy in Sawyer's discard pile.
Yeah.
It does signify they do play Roaring Moon, and this is you potentially giving up 2 prizes while it is in the active. And that's a big hand. Anything can happen here. Game has begun.
Yeah, and essentially with this strategy, the double Mawile's most likely in there for the Charizard matchup. Charizard's playing only 1 switch, if that. So if you get double Mawile, even through a Lost City, you're still able to Tempting Trap and set up the lock. But against a deck like Gardevoir, while it is good if they don't have the Professor Turo scenario, Rowan did. So that means now with 10 in the Lost Zone, you can kind of pivot your game plan. You can take the knockout, but you also see there is that counter catcher in hand. There's a Super Rod to get the Mawile back or just find the other one, and with this Chorus experiment, did just that.
Oh, this is going to be the moment of truth if Sawyer still decides to go for the Mawile play, but we could just as easily see it hit the Lost Zone. We'll have to see. Again, Rowan finally being able to do their first attack there, taking the first prize of the game, and it is going to be the Mawile. Going into the Lost Zone now, 12 cards in the Lost Zone, more than enough to do anything they want in the deck. Does have the Sableye. I don't see the Roaring Moon just yet. We do see the Pidgeot. Kyogre's no longer an option, unfortunately, especially with that Manaphy. Does protect the board. Going for the Pokestop there, it loses both the Greninja and the Cramorant. 2 big cards there, but does get the Energy Recycler.
Yeah, that could be big with the multiple Mirage Gate in hand for Sawyer, but it does look like he needs that Roaring Moon EX, and if I was mistaken, it might have been in the prize cards, and that's why he was debating about that Heavy Ball.
That could be true, but at least, at the very least here, we do have the Sableye to attack to potentially take prizes. As we see Energy Recycler there, just putting a ton of energy back into the deck, and a couple of Sableye into the field.
And with that, Mirage Gate's going to go ahead and find an energy on that Sableye, energy to retreat the Comfey if Sawyer wants.
Trying to decide.
Yeah, it does look like that Roaring Moon was in the prize cards.
Ooh, so that. Seeing Heavy Ball sent to the Lost Zone there, quite big. Looks like opting to not attach to the Comfey into the active. Does have a couple more resources in hand. Maybe wants a Dark Energy in the deck just in case for when he does eventually draw into the Roaring Moon potentially. As this is it, a big Lost Mine getting the attachment there onto the Comfey. Just in case, potential Iono. And it's going to be a knockout onto the Curlia and 4 damage counters onto the Shining Arcana Gardevoir.
This means not as much energy is going to be able to be placed on that Gardevoir and trying to set it up for just a Lost Mine KO, maybe 2 damage counters on something like that Manaphy just to set up future KOs. That's really what Sableye is so good at doing.
Yes. Looks like Sawyer here definitely identifying that what the threats are. Typically, some players would decide to maybe knock out the support Pokemon like Manaphy to open up more plays. I think Sawyer here just identifying, I need to take out the threats, the Curlias that can turn into Gardevoirs, this Gardevoir Arcana that can attack, maybe force Rowan to just continue attacking with the Gardevoir EX. Rowan here did play the Super Rod, putting back an entire line of Gardevoir there, and does play the level ball to get an extra Ralts, and is going to play the reversal energy onto the Ralts, interestingly enough.
It'll be a Gardevoir soon enough. Right?
We'll have to see. Not if a Sableye has anything to say about it, but a big Iono here from Rowan, equalizing the hands. Both players drawing 5 cards.
Yeah, the thing is, though, Sawyer has thinned the deck out pretty well, so most of the cards in the deck are going to be energies or ways to just get the cards that you want. And we see having the Psychic in hand for the second Sableye, already having the energy on the Comfey so you can retreat after a flower selecting. This is basically, he slowed down the game with the Tempting Trap, right? But he slowed it enough to where he has pretty much all the resources available left in the deck. And this is going to be a big turn for Rowan, is attacking with Cresselia, which traditionally has been amazing against these Lost Zone box decks.
Definitely. Cresselia being able to use Moonglow Reverse, move 2 damage counters from each of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon, and being able to heal the Shiny Arcana now. There was 4 damage counters on it, now there's 2, still should be able to knock it out with the Sableye, but the big question is, do you go for the Arcana or do you go for the Cresselia? With that Sableye, I think it might have to be the Arcana while it still has the 2 damage counters, but we're going to have to see what Sawyer decides to do. Or do you even go for the Ralts with the reversal energy?
You can kind of just get rid of the setup that Rowan was trying to do, but if you get rid of the Ralts, you're just stacking a little bit more damage on something like that Gardevoir. But then Cresselia is still just able to Moonglow Reverse, take a knockout on your Sableye yet again, and it's definitely going to be an interesting line to see what Sawyer takes.
In my mind, it might have to be the Gardevoir because that is Rowan's only draw option. That means each time Rowan decides to use Iono to disrupt Sawyer's hand, he doesn't really get to recover as well. Since unless, of course, they draw into a bunch of Curlias, which should be in the deck. We're going to see Sawyer here attach an energy to the Comfey, interestingly enough, not into the Sableye.
We might be spinning attack. No, I'm just kidding. Pass of the turn back. Sawyer decides that it's not really worth it here to Lost Mine and passes the turn back. This is going to force Rowan to attach more Psychic Energy to the field just to get that extra damage to move with Moonglow Reverse. But a pretty interesting play from Sawyer for sure.
I'm very curious. Why not take the prize here? Maybe Sawyer trying to shift the game plans again to go back into control, potentially. Maybe force Rowan to attach all their energies, continue attacking with the Cresselia, and then get it stuck in the active. If there's no damage on board, Cresselia can't do damage unless, of course, you attach 2 extra energies. But we'll see here what Rowan decides to do. Does have Rare Candy in hand, evolves into the Curlia, refines an Artazone.
Draws into the second Curlia here. Does have the option to evolve into that, take things a little slow. I think that's what he's going to do. Also had the option to Rare Candy with that Shining Arcana Gardevoir, but as you can discard cards with this refinement, that means less cards go in your deck that are not going to be as good in this match going forward with stuff like Iono, and you never really know if your opponent is playing Hand Disruption. Looking at Sawyer's list, he is not, so kind of safe in that regard, but still got to thin your deck out as much as possible.
That is true. Big Iono once again here from Rowan, but the hand was bigger than the deck, I believe, so it was worth cutting there. As, again, Rowan draws 4 while Sawyer draws 5. We've been in this game for a couple of minutes, but only a couple of prize cards have been taken.
Wow, and that was a big card here. Sawyer's only way of winning this was to bring up that Manaphy tempting trap yet again, but Rowan had the collapse stadium to be able to discard that, and funnily enough, Rowan prized the Pal Pad. If Sawyer went for the second Mawile with tempting trap with the counter catcher in hand, it would have been game over.
Wow, that would have been big. So absolutely huge collapse stadium there. And just like that, Rowan Stavenow takes this first game. And let's see a couple of replays here. Tempting trap, probably a couple of times.
yeah, I'll take it over. Tempting trap. There was a knockout with that Gardevoir EX, and then Lost Mine taking a knockout on Giratina. Or Giratina, on Curlia, you know. I got the worm on the line, you know. And then just the concession with that collapsed stadium. There was no way for Sawyer to really come back here. Manaphy being discarded meant you can Kyogre, but Kyogre was in the lost zone, like one of the first cards. So no real route to victory for Sawyer, opting to save some time, especially with the kind of strategy you have and the strategy he went for. 25 minutes, just wiped away instantly. Not really instantly, it took a while.
Yeah,
it took 25 minutes.
True. Is there enough time to finish this game? And both these decks are known for playing that long and drawn out games. Again, Gardevoir, you attack with single prize attackers, but you have to evolve into the stage shoes, while Lost Box, you're also playing single prize attackers, and you're really trying to set up your board. You're dead 10 cards of Lost Zone, setting up the Aqua Storm. That takes a bit of time. And at this point, do you even go for the Mawile strategy?
No.
Yes.
Just seeing the Professor Turos, seeing the Pal Pad, it's really hard, especially not winning game one. Now, if Sawyer did win game one, I go for the strategy 100% of the time. Like, the game two is not finishing. You are going to have that Manaphy that you started with get stuck in the active spot, and it's just so tempting for that tempting trap. But you kind of have to just play a regular Lost Zone box game where you take early knockouts with Cramorant, build up to Lost Mine with Sableye, and hope that you can finish things off with Kyogre.
All right, and that, just like that, game two has begun here. Rowan's going to start us off. Does open up with the level ball on the raw. Something of note, we didn't get to talk about the prizes just yet. I believe Radiant Greninja was prized for Sawyer, but does have played the Hisuian Heavy Ball to get that out of the prizes. Rowan, however, does play, had a Jirachi prize in the upper corner of his prizes as well. So if we're playing a traditional Lost Box versus Gardevoir game, that's a pretty key card in this matchup, in my opinion.
It is, yeah.
Just being able to block the Lost Mine damage. You're not going to have access to that, not until very, very late into the game, as do you see an Ultra Ball being played as well, getting the second Ross just to pass, essentially making sure that the board is Cramorant proof at the very least, as Sawyer does play the Hisuian Heavy Ball. Going to go ahead and take a peek at the prizes. Easy grab there, Radiant Greninja. Let's conceal some cards.
Must be nice to start Hisuian Heavy Ball on turn one. We've seen a couple players now do it, and it is such a great card to have in these decks where you're playing so many different one-of Pokemon, and being able to find that very powerful Radiant Greninja is just the cherry on top.
Also save some time from deck checking.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the Lost Box where you're playing a multitude of one-ofs. Now you just get to see what's in there, write it down. Let's save some time here, as, again, just going to be a concealed card here. Draws two. Do I see a chorus in hand? Not quite yet, I believe. Going to be the flower selecting. It's one card into the Lost Zone. It does have a second Comfey. We can still select some flowers here. The name of the game, we have to find that chorus.
How about some energies?
We don't need that. We have a couple in the discard. We have one in the Lost Zone, some in hand. Oh, we had a Pokegear.
All right. I mean, so this is just great sequencing from Sawyer here, being able to look at the top four and then dig 7 down, finds that Colorless Experiment. If you did it the other way around, right, you're like, usually you want a Colorless Experiment before flower selecting. So you would think, oh, well, I'm going to Pokegear, find this Colorless Experiment, and then get things going. But just being able to look at the 7, but then you shuffle, and then you look at 4 more, that's not the same as looking at 11 cards.
I agree 100%. I mean, if they used the Pokegear earlier, they probably would have seen a couple of energy. Big Chorus Experiment here does see 3 supporters, Jeremy. 3 supporters, 2 Chorus, 1 Boss's Orders. We can send them Mawile pretty easily enough. But Yeah, it might be Mawile in the boss's orders. Looks like that's what Sawyer's eyeing. There's Mawile, very least. A tough choice, very tough choice here. Double-edged sword of the Lost Box deck. Some would say it's going to be the Chorus Experiment. You just know. If you're Rowan, you see that Chorus Experiment hit the Lost Zone, you must have a good hand.
Oh, yeah. That means I'm going to Iono next turn if I have it. But no retreat to the Cramorant, and there's the quick Iono. So Close Experiment in the discard, Close Experiment in the Lost Zone, and then one on the bottom of the deck as well.
Oh, no. Let's see here what Rowan has, though. Does have the Fog Crystal. What Rowan needs, he needs the Mirage Step Curlia as well as an energy. Does have the energy to retreat here. Again, that would be the most ideal turn. Didn't get quite a peek at the hand just yet.
Just a simple level ball would do it right now for Rowan. Has the Psychic Energy to retreat the Manaphy in the active spot. There is an Ultra Ball.
There is an Ultra Ball.
So he will have that pretty great setup in that Mirage Step, being able to get 3 Curlia for free with that attack.
Yes, very, very powerful. And you leave Ralts as well in play to be rare candied in the future, or maybe you rod a Curlia. This feels really good to get these stage 1 Pokemon essentially for the cost of an attack, yes, but essentially for free. But looks like there is the 3rd Curlia. But Rowan may be debating keeping the bench space open. What do you think they're leaving it for, Jeremy?
Nothing this turn, yeah. Cresselia could be a great option here, but honestly, I would just go for that Curlia. You get the draw. You already know Sawyer didn't have that great of a hand because it didn't have a switch out for that Cramorant. Now, if you were down a prize card right here, maybe you would do something different, but for right now, no.
Sawyer top decking the Nest Ball, I believe, great way, not only to get the Comfey, but more importantly, shuffle the deck, get that Chorus out of the bottom of the discard pile, as we believe we're going to be selecting some flowers. Again, there's already 4 cards in the Lost Zone. Spit Innocently is active, but we want to set up more for future turns. We want to get more cards in hand. We want more options. There's not an impossibility, I believe. Can they get 10 cards in the Lost Zone this turn? Maybe not without the...
Yeah, these Lost Zone decks have been cutting Lost Vacuum for a lot of their space. If that's the route that you go or not, we'll have to see. But we've gone very far away from the turbo Lost Zone box that we've seen in the past.
That's for sure, as we do see 2 flower selecting here, bringing the Lost Zone count to 6, as we do just have the switch into... Oh, nope, another flower selecting. Easy choice there, Battle VIP. Those are the flower selectings I'd love to see. Of course, if the other card was good, though.
No, it's another Battle VIP pass.
Was it really?
No, it was an escape rope, but I'm just saying your flower selecting.
Okay, that's something that has happened before. And what is that last card? Looks like to be the Mirage Gate. Is that what we're going to use to be able to retreat here? Or, no, we can't use Radiant Greninja, unfortunately, because the Manaphy is in play. There's going to be attachment there onto the Comfey.
I really wanted to see that manual Spit Innocently. No.
Was there ever a world that has ever happened? You brick your opening hand and you just attach 3 energies? That could happen.
No, I don't think so. I would rather scoop than do that.
That's for sure, as we do see just the energy attachment there onto the Comfey and the energy attachment onto the Cramorant. So maybe Sawyer could be doing it here.
No. Having 7 in the Lost Zone, Cramorant can attack for free, of course. So we're just we're playing around, you know, just a couple funny guys.
Maybe just potentially Sawyer seeing that there are a couple of Curlias in play. Maybe Rowan might go for Cresselia play, knock out one of the Comfeys on the bench. At least you have a way to retreat here with the Cramorant. So you do see Rowan, going for that Fog Crystal for that Cresselia. Again, Fog Crystal, very powerful card in this deck, being able to find a basic Psychic Pokemon or a basic Psychic Energy. And goes for the Cresselia. And is going to be able to target down those Comfeys. But first, of course, we need the Gardevoir EX. We have it in hand.
Draws the Shining Arcana. Gardevoir for this first refinement. Has that Professor Turos in hand along with a rare candy that's most likely going to get discarded, but finds Zacian V off that Shining Arcana. That's not what you need right now. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Gardevoir EX. Perfect time.
Yes, and it's the new Gardevoir EX too, by the way. New art, anyway.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Absolutely
Paldean
beautiful.
Fates, amazing set.
I need to pull one, that's for sure, as we do see, again, rare candy in hand, so they could go rare candy Gardevoir here, but...
That's two of them.
Oh, he has two of them. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, we refine one of them, use the other, drops the Cresselia. Is there anything else we need in play? I'd still keep the Turo in hand, just in case Sawyer decides to switch into the Mawile play. Even if there's one in the Lost Zone, we do know Sawyer does play two.
And
there it
remember, Rowan won game 1, so Sawyer needs to win 2 games to be able to take this match here. Now, with a tie, both players would lock in their spot to day 2, but that's not where you want to be. You want to get as many match wins as possible, and Rowan now firing back, taking the knockout with that Moonglow reverse, and this is exactly where the Gardevoir deck wants to be.
And just like that, we do see the Cramorant does pay the retreat cost there. Another tough flower selecting. I believe that was a boss's orders and a Sableye. So very. Oh no, it was the Mawile. So no more tempting traps, potentially. No, yeah,
Well,
there's only
they're
two.
both in the Lost Zone, so yeah.
But
no,
as far
no
as
more.
Rowan knows, there could be
Could
a
be
third.
a third one? No. He was already surprised at the second one. So.
As we do see concealed cards
Ooh.
here, drawing to the
Roaring
big
Moon.
Roaring Moon. That is definitely a way Sawyer can take the prize lead eventually, because Rowan does have a 2-prizer in play as we does go for the chorus experiment.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what attacker Sawyer can actually pull together. And yeah, the escape rope is going to mean Cramorant is going to be able to get in there, take a knockout, do what it should have done on turn 2.
Typically that would be the case, but Rowan smartly deciding to promote the Shining Arcana. Gardevoir does have 140 HP, so should be able to take a spit instantly hit, but Sawyer does have the Sableye to attack with instead, and Lost Mine definitely can take the knockout here as Mirage Gate is played, attaching a water energy to that Comfey, free to retreat now, and getting that, more importantly, getting that Psychic Energy onto that Sableye.
So we could see the Manaphy get knocked out here and some of the rest of the damage placed on that Gardevoir in the active spot. Could also see just that Cresselia get knocked out with all 120 damage from this Lost Mine, which also is just another good option to do. Cresselia is going to be wrecking havoc for these next foreseeable future.
Yeah, I'm very, very curious to see what Sawyer decides to knock out. Palpad was played there, putting 2 choruses into that very, very thin deck. So is potentially Iono-proofing themselves as they go for the switch card, opting to keep the water energy on the Comfey. This could signify maybe just a knockout on the Cresselia to conserve the energy on that Comfey. We still have time. If we really wanted to set up a multi-prize knockout on the bench, we still have time to knock out that Manaphy maybe later in the game. But no, it was neither option, Jeremy. It was a knockout there onto the Curlia.
Yeah, this does limit the draw power, gets the 40 damage on that Gardevoir, so even through a Moonglow reverse, you can take a knockout with another Lost Mine. But again, you were saying he has time to set up these knockouts. I'm not sure if he really does. Just over 12 minutes to go into our round 8 here, and Rowan is in full control of how this game has been going so far.
Definitely in full control, and do see here Rowan does have the Iono. He's going to shuffle both players' hands and limiting Sawyer's options. But again, we do know Sawyer did shuffle in a couple of chorus experiments. Let's see what Rowan draws into, though. Does have a couple of options. Does have a
another Gardevoir, Energy, Lost Vacuum.
Good cards, but I believe everything they need should be in the field at the moment.
Yeah,
Attach for turn to retreat, I guess, would be the best thing, so you don't have to use Psychic Embrace on the Gardevoir. So it was good there. They did draw into the Psychic Energy.
Eyeing down what looks like a Super Rod here, maybe to get a couple more Waltz in play.
Yep, there is the Super Rod shuffling in the Zacian V as well. Plays the nest ball straight out, getting the Ralts. Zacian V there. Could be a potential attacker, maybe into something like the Roaring Moon potentially.
Yeah, that's still something we haven't really seen from Sawyer's list so far, is just that those secondary attackers that we're so used to in a deck like Lost Zone, just being able to pivot depending on your matchup. And so far, it's been just Spit Innocently, Lost Mine. Kind of seems like a Giratina matchup without Giratinas.
Definitely, and we do see here Rowan does retreat the Shining Arcana Gardevoir, attaches an energy to the Curlia and the Cresselia, and with the damage already on Gardevoir EX and Shining Arcana Gardevoir, that is enough to take a knockout on the Sableye. Back here now to Sawyer. Has the Pokestop, has the Chorus, has a lot of cards in hand. Chorus Experiment does find another Chorus. Again, at this point, when your deck is this thin and this refined, really, almost everything seems like such a good card to keep. These are resources that you have very, very few of at this point. So opting to keep potentially the Switch, losing the Chorus, not opposed to that, because at this point, do you even have 5 cards in the deck? I think I see 6 or 7.
I think there's a little more than that, but still something to keep in mind. Having that Super Rod, which just hits the Lost Zone. There's 3 copies of that in the list. We know game 1, there was 2 that went right away, but finding it right there, this card's 2 Pokemon to go along with it, though.
Yes, and okay, there is more than 7. As again, but there's no ideal attacker just yet. Is there a Sable? There is a Sableye in hand. Is there a Psychic Energy to go along with it? I think I do see.
Well, with this Super Rod and a Mirage Gate, that's pretty easily equates to a Lost Mine attack this turn. The thing is, though, I'm not sure what Sawyer's really accomplishing with these Lost Mines. You're taking 1 prize card a turn, but so is Rowan. And you're having to do a lot more to take those knockouts than Rowan is.
But the more important thing is, technically, you do have the prize lead, right? If in theory you take one prize knockout each and every turn, you are going to eventually win this game.
Yeah, yeah. That's a pretty bold theory, though.
And so, Boss's Order is still in the deck. I don't think we've drawn into the Roaring Moon just yet. Again, that's
Roaring
always
Moon, I thought I saw in the Lost Zone, but I guess we'll wait and see.
That would be very, very bad, because that is a way to cheat out 2 prizes here for Sawyer. So essentially just has to take a knockout with both Sableyes into a Roaring Moon knockout. But if, again, you don't have access to that, if it's in the Lost Zone, definitely not available.
Sawyer taking another knockout on this Curlia here, putting 4 damage on the Cresselia in the active spot. This is close. This is going to enable Cramorant to take a knockout on this Cresselia no matter what happens with the Moonglow reverse.
There might just be enough resources here, as long as there's at least... Oh, there's a Roaring Moon in hand.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there's a Roaring Moon in hand. Sawyer can easily knock out the active Cresselia with the Cramorant.
Then a simple Boss's Orders, Mirage Gate, energy from a hand. Should be able to lock up that knockout on the Gardevoir EX. Just over 7 minutes to go in this round 8 here.
In theory, even if we go to time right now, Sawyer should have, if you're a path to victory potentially. But again, we still have 7 minutes. Rowan opting to Lost Vacuum, the Pokestop, maybe signifying we are going to Iono here. Iono down to 3, and now you don't have access to Pokestop either. You also sent a Chorus Experiment into the Lost Zone. Does have Rod, Energy, and Dark Energy in hand. Psychic Energy, Dark Energy.
Yeah, and this is where this game of trading knockouts gets really rough for Sawyer. You already have to do so much to reoccur these Sableyes yet again, turn after turn. But now you have to do it through Iono, where you're just drawing 3 cards from your deck, and you're going to be thinning your deck as much as possible, but you're also putting back those energies so you can finish off with a Mirage Gate or even just energies for Lost Mine. So that means you're just there's more cards that you don't want to draw.
Definitely, as we see here. Again, Rowan does have a lot of damage on board, but again, Moonglow Reverse should be able to heal a lot of it up. Does Palpad 2 Ionos. So,
Might as well.
yeah, that is the most ideal supporter to use for the next couple of turns, like you said. And again, it could be just a Moonglow Reverse into the Sableye, but luckily, again, that little bit of extra damage is there for the Cramorant. So, you know, there are knockouts lined up here. It's just the last one that could be the problem.
With 2 energies on that Gardevoir EX now, that also is a big threat to just start taking knockouts turn after turn. 310 HP is a lot for Sawyer to try to handle with outside of a card like Roaring Moon, and with the disruption from Iono, it's going to be hard to put together that combo.
Definitely, as we do see here. But again, the deck is thin, but there is a lot of energy in the deck.
Still has access to concealed cards, which is the good point about this. So even if you draw energy, your hand's not dead.
Yes, there's an energy on the Comfey, ensuring that you do have the retreat, so you do have flower selecting. It won't be too crazy to see Sawyer really set something up, and it is going to be the Moonglow Reverse. Is it going to be the knockout on... It has to be the active Sableye, I have to guess. There is some logic into knocking out a bench Sableye.
So I think what Rowan's thinking about right here is he just Iono'd Sawyer to 3.
Yes.
If you take the knockout on the Comfey, that means it's 1 less card to be able to, or to be able for Sawyer to try to find. And I think just roll the dice to come up with this decision. Ends up with the active Sableye, and Sawyer top decks a Psychic Energy for the turn. So Lost Mine KOs a Curlia yet again. And this is just back and forth here now. I don't even think Sawyer concealed cards. Just expecting another Iono.
I do respect this play. Again, with the amount of damage on Cresselia, Rowan has to retreat it to the bench. That means all Sawyer has to do is Sawyer at 2 prizes or 1 at this point?
2 prizes right now.
2 prizes, so he still has to find 2 knockouts.
So this Cresselia could take a knockout with just its second attack, or you can get down that Zacian V, get more Psychic Energy in play, Moonglow Reverse yet again.
Definitely options here does have level wall. Looks like we're just talking about how much damage should be on the Cresselia.
Oh yeah, because there was only the 8 from the Curlia, so having that extra damage on the Cresselia now from this Lost Mine. It was at 2, then it gets bumped to 6, so it is correct now. Sableye, you have to put 12. You cannot put less than 12. You can't put more than 12. And we've seen that time and time again with these kind of like board locks with just the Sableyes trying to spread as much damage as possible in these Lost Zone mirrors.
Ooh, I like this. The reversal energy on the Gardevoir, the Shining Arcana Gardevoir, means you can attack with it for knockout and not put any damage on that Gardevoir, really forcing Sawyer to have either one more Sableye or maybe a boss for knockout.
Yeah, and this is important. Iono puts that Super Rod to the bottom of the deck. Sawyer does draw a Comfey and a Switch card, so we'll be able to at least guarantee 2 flower selectings on the next turn. And there's that retreat to the Gardevoir, like you were saying. This fresh Gardevoir, 140 HP, very hard for Sawyer to take a knockout.
Yes, and yeah, you could always go ahead and maybe spit innocently, maybe set up a big Sableye play. We're going to have to see what Sawyer decides. Does draw for a turn, has access to flower selecting. What else is in the hand here?
It was a Boss's Orders.
Boss's Orders would have been big. Is that a boss? Is that Pokegear?
It's a full art of some kind.
It was a nice and shiny card. Again, it still has access to flower selecting. I think it was a Pokegear.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, it is a Pokegear. 7 cards. Let's find the chorus. That's more cards.
I think there's only 7 cards, 8 cards left in the deck, so hopefully you would find one.
That is true. Let's see what else Sawyer can put together. Again, right now, all they have in hand, I think, is a Switch and a Comfey. That's not that much. Big chorus experiment does find the Boss's Orders.
Boss's Orders, Energy Recycler, Mirage Gate.
This is tough, Jeremy. what do you keep here? You have to keep the boss's orders.
It's just unfortunate that like the Roaring Moon's also in the last 2 cards, I believe. I think you have to keep the
boss,
Mirage Gate,
Mirage Gate, and
so you don't deck out, but I guess you could just not flower selecting this turn.
yeah, I think
Maybe
if
Super Odds in hand.
oh, this is tough. They does have the switch card too to work with.
Oh, Super Odds in the course, that's where it is.
So
So I think, yeah, the Dark Energy and then the Energy Recycle.
absolute masterclass from both sides, from both Gardevoir, and the Lost Box. Very intense.
Yeah, it really just comes